Post-event debriefs can feel like a roast session if we're not careful. That's why I recommend this proven 3-part strategy for evaluating and making sure that your events not only get the proper evaluation that they deserve, but are even better on into the future for your next year's event. Welcome, my friends, to the Hybrid Ministry Show. Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Hybrid Ministry Show. I am your host, Nick Clayson, and in this episode 163, if you want to head to the show notes with transcripts, hybridministry.xyz/163, that would be incredible. And a subscribe while you're there would also just do us wonders. But if you haven't been following along here on YouTube, we are in a playlist for your complete fall strategy guide and strategy session for not only your upcoming fall outreach event, how we run outreach events, and it's all kind of been centered around some principles for fall outreach and fall launches. But if you're looking for one, and one of my favorite kind of strategies is a month-long ongoing bracket style event, and I'm giving away an event guide to one of my products over on Download Youth Ministry called the World's Greatest Donut Bracket Event. We've been walking through what those nights look like, how to include and incorporate free time, how to welcome your new guests. But now that all the dust has settled, now that all the donut madness is over, you're ready to evaluate your event. So whether you're evaluating this particular event or just any of your fall events, this is my proven 3-part strategy and framework. And I mean, I'm just going to be honest, you've maybe heard this before. It's not unique or original to me. I've used it in a couple of last churches that I've worked in. But there's a few kind of tweaks and adaptations to it. And so you might have heard this, but the first question worth asking in an event evaluation debrief is what went right. Let's celebrate the wins straight out of the gate. What were the wins? What were the good things? And kind of go that route. The next question that I like to do, and one of the churches I worked at, we called these questions the 4 helpfuls, but I like to combine these next 2, and so that's why it's only 3 questions, because I think these 2 are cousins of one another, right? And so I like this one of what was broken / confusing. So broken and confusing can kind of get, like I said, close to one another when you're kind of parsing them out and you're like, oh, is this one broken? I'm not exactly sure if that thing, that QR code was broken or if it was just confusing, right? And maybe the QR code was actually broken, or maybe students just don't know what they're doing and it made it confusing. And that's kind of how I found that question to kind of land. And so just sticking those 2 together really will help you. And this question right here, here's the thing. I want to encourage you. Don't make this personal. Don't take these things personal, but really lean into these right here, because this is how, and this is where, and this is when and how and why you can make this event even better next year when you pull this thing together, right? This event becomes so much better when you take care of the broken and the confusing parts, and you can really turn around. You can optimize your next event or your next year's event, or some elements of this event that you're going to bring to the next Wednesday night, whatever the case might be. But this is your chance to optimize it, perfect it, really kind of hone it in. And then finally, this last question, what was missing? And so it could be while we were in the middle of the event, I thought it would have been great if we had this. We didn't think of it ahead of time, but next year, let's kind of plan to make this happen. Now, couple of different ways that you can handle debriefs. And I think probably the most common is just an in-person, right? You get together, you talk about it with your team, and you take notes and you go off to the next one. And for major events, big events like this, ones that you spend maybe a lot of budget money on, I would recommend doing some sort of in-person debrief. However, if you're debriefing every single event, you're never not debriefing, because let's just be honest, if you meet once a week in youth ministry, there's always one time a week where you got to get together and you got to debrief. And then if you're meeting twice a week, say Wednesday night and Sunday morning, you're also getting together another time to kind of look back at Sunday morning. And what if you're meeting Sunday night? Then now you're meeting 3 different times for 3 different event evaluations. And so it can become a lot, and it can become a lot of meetings. And sometimes it's just man, we just got work to do, right? And so one of the things that my boss has instituted is we use Basecamp, and he instituted this idea, and he just calls our debriefs sometimes, we keep them all digital. So it's a digital debrief. we go into base camp, into the message board there, and he'll ask 3 different questions. Sometimes he'll ask right, wrong, broken, confusing, like all of that. But other times he'll throw in like a curveball or, like, and I think like this question, for example, is a good example of like missing, but he'll be like, what's one thing that we could have done to really take this event over the top? And so it just gets your brain thinking in a little bit of a different category, though it is probably like an answer to the missing question. But it's framed really well that it makes you like think in a different kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So, but what we'll do then is everyone on the team has to complete that digital debrief, comment done when they're done. And then he'll take those and he'll archive the plan, so it's out of our like base camp. But then next year, as we're getting ready to pull that back together, he'll go grab those archive notes, because who in the world can remember what we did a year ago, let alone a month ago, right? Take those archive notes and add them to the upcoming plan. So then when the upcoming plan is coming, we look back and we say, what did we say last year? And like a great example of this is like at summer camp, people said like not the most recent summer camp we did, but the one from the last summer, people said something small like, hey, we should have a lost and found, or we should have more trash cans. And so, a week or 2 before we went, we're like, hey, let's look back at those debrief notes, and we're like, oh yeah, that's right, the lost and found thing, the trash cans. We pulled those together quick. There were small things we were going to completely forget to do them because we were so focused on all the other kind of like things and elements of camp. But we looked back at our debrief notes, and those 2 little small things like really helped, like I said, kind of like made the difference, right? And so however you choose to do it, one of the words that my boss always kind of used was, we need a place to memorialize these thoughts, right? So like we say them, write them down. For us, it's base camp. You can use whatever kind of project management tool or software that you want to do and go ahead and take that to the races. But you should use these, right? Broken/confusing and missing. Use them in your next event evaluation. And here's the thing. If you go ahead and download my donut event guide, come back to this episode or check this episode out right after your event is over so that you can really, truly lean in to these questions and make your event as good as it can be on and off into the future. Now, here's the thing. All of this has been ramping up to, this has been focused on one night, right? One night of like a big event, one night of like bring your friends. And, we talked about in the first episode, but the spiritual CPR strategy. So cultivate and then plant and then reap. That's a cultivate event. That's a cultivate night. How do you then carry on that momentum on into the next coming weeks? One of the elements, one of the small slivers components, but one that I really think has been super huge in our student ministry around reaching more students and reaching more lost students in an effort to be both like planting seeds of like spirituality as well as just like having fun is through using the means of social media. And so obviously here I am, it's the Hybrid Ministry podcast. You probably saw that one coming, but that's been a hugely beneficial and hugely big piece in our overall strategy. And it's become one of our primary evangelism mechanisms. And next week I am dropping the fall seasonal social media pack. Now here's how this is going to work. Next Thursday, if you're subscribed, you're going to get it as soon as it drops. It's over on my Patreon. So it's patreon.com/hybrid ministry. And over there's a tier of podcasts, a bonus weekly podcast where I'm just detailing and outline all of my events and all of our Wednesday nights, our programming, what's going well, what we're doing on social media, moves we're making, changes that we got going on. Here's the thing. This week at time of filming, not when this episode drops, but at time of filming, my boss actually just submitted his resignation. So I'm actually stepping into a new role and I'm stepping into a new seat. And so I'm going to have the opportunity to share some of that with you. And I'm really excited. But that podcast, that Patreon tier is $4 per month. Now here's the thing. The seasonal social media pack is like $17.99 and it is meant to last for 3 months. So if you do the math, you actually come out ahead on the tier. And so what I would recommend right now, if you're listening to this week leading into launch, go over to Patreon, give me the $4 per month, get in on that tier, and then you will get everything in the store, not just this upcoming seasonal pack, but you can grab the summer pack, and then on Thursday you can grab the fall pack, and there's actually a free week trial there for you to check it out. So click the link down below, become what we call a hybrid hero at that $4 per month tier. So excited to do that, and we're going to be dropping not only that pack next week and kind of walking through what that is, but then we're also going to start looking at how can you build and create a social media team within in the gathering in your context as is, that's fully and completely run by teenagers. I'm going to walk you how we did it and how you can do it in your youth ministry to not only reach students, but also create momentum for your students that are attending your church in person as well. Once again, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope that you found this episode helpful. If you did, like it, subscribe, share it with a friend. But until next time, and as always, don't forget to stay hybrid.